Welcome everyone to OnPodcast, the On Microsoft podcast, where we talk about Microsoft stuff on a podcast. I have your co-host today, Kareem Anderson, and I'm joined by the world's greatest co-host.
Earth Bacchus.
Yeah, and I feel like we should start one of those how many days has it been since? And I want to start it today officially saying today is the first day since we've heard from Satya Nadella on any of our ideas for Microsoft. We're gonna keep doing this. It's gonna be a weekly thing until he comes on this podcast and answers some questions or takes some ideas from us. Other than that, we will return to just giving you guys the news until that happens. As of right now, we have some pretty big topics to kind of cover and a handful of news headlines that you might be interested in. To start off with, we have Build 2022 has been confirmed. It's been, we were waiting for it, we were anticipating it, and now we know that when it's going to be and how it's going to be set up.
And then we also have some news about another event on April 5th. We talked about it 2 weeks ago, but we just want to go through, since it's approaching, go through the what we expect for that April 5th Windows event featuring Panos Panay.
Yeah. And then we have something you're going to actually talk about because you're dog fooding it, surprisingly. Clipchamp gets a little bit better for Windows 11. I think they heard some maybe our complaints, maybe that's Satya listening, about how they could make the, I guess, built-in sort of quote-unquote bloatware film editor a little bit better.
And those are our three main topics, and we also have some more with our fast recap. And there's a bunch of stuff to go through in the fast recap. The first of which is Microsoft backtracking on the default browser settings in Windows 11.
Yeah, we have some word from Mozilla about this as well. We also will be talking about the controversy over ray tracing that was and then not was in Minecraft.
And we also have some news about your phone getting a new name on Windows 10 and Windows 11.
Yeah, and I'll be kind of giving you my thoughts because I just switched phones and it's taking full advantage of your phone or whatever the new name is. And then we'll also be talking about Microsoft extending its lead over Sony, who just announced their version of their Game Pass, by potentially coming up with a family plan.
And then there's also some news about Microsoft doubling down on its Android efforts with a new reorganization.
Yeah, that might actually take the whole pod. I have so many thoughts about that. And then we're going to go into our favorite section, which is the week ahead as well, where I think you're going to be doing a piece on your dog fooding of Clipchamp.
Yep, I'm using Clipchamp to edit the podcast, so if everything sucks, you guys know why.
We also, one of us, not going to name names, one of us watched the first episode of Halo via the YouTube. And so we have some thoughts, and hopefully we'll get Arif to watch it by next week.
There's also some news about E3 2022 being canceled as well.
Talking about cancellations, we're going to be visiting the Microsoft graveyard as well towards the end of this podcast, just to kind of poke fun at and just see what things we remember or maybe we forgot about that have been canceled at Microsoft.
And that said, it's time for our first topic, which is Build 2022 being confirmed.
It is confirmed to be canceled, folks. Moving on.
No.
Nah, just kidding.
Uh,
We have Build 2022 confirmed for May 24th through the 26th of this year. So, unlike last year, I believe, which was at the end of April, beginning of May, like early on in spring or mid-springish, Microsoft has kind of pushed this one back a little bit. We hadn't heard from any real sources confirming it until now. Some of us were a bit worried because we expected it to be sometime in April, so we figured if they were going to do an in-person event, usually they give people about a month or so out to kind of book hotels, things like that. It doesn't seem like that's going to be the case, which is why they were able to kind of push it back to where it's going to be at. They're going to have people come together and experts, from what they're on saying, to engage with experiences around the latest innovation and tools. Presuming this is obviously for every build, a developer-oriented show. I believe that the event is going to be digital. I don't think that they're going to be having an in-person event. At least that's what we've gathered from the invite so far.
And it seems like it's going to be just like it was last year, where they have the pre recorded sessions and the live sessions in the catalog. We'll be able to go on through and pick through and meet with Microsoft experts virtually and sit in on Teams calls and hear them talk about Windows and Azure and all of the latest Microsoft products. They didn't launch a registration website yet or anything. They just confirmed the dates for now. So I'm assuming that towards the ending of April is when your registrations will officially open up.
And just like last year, I believe was also free
Yep.
for most sessions to the public. So, yeah, for those of you who have previously been unable to shell out $25 to $5,000 or convince your boss to send you on an expensive trip somewhere to visit Microsoft, you'll now be able to kind of have some talks or at least sit in on some talks with developers about specific things for free or relatively free. So, that's the benefit of having these digital events for as long as we're going to have them. Hopefully, maybe next year we'll have an in-person one so you and I can kind of hang out and chit chat and have pizza and maybe corner Satya Nadella and have him answer some of our questions.
I think his bodyguards would probably push us away and be like, "Who are those guys? That's not Zach and Dan."
I mean, if we keep telling them, maybe they'll believe it. But yeah, I think that's it.
What do you expect for build, by the way? There's only one Windows 11 updates. It used to be two updates a year with Windows 10, and now with Windows 11 and Windows 10, it's only one update a year. So what do you expect them to talk about?
I mean, they did this sort of like they did last year, where Windows 11 wasn't the big focus of build, and we've been charting this kind of trend over the last like 5 or 6 years, where Windows isn't the main talking point. They usually reserve that for its own event, typically right before around Surface time when they launch new Surface hardware. So I expect that trend to continue. They might touch upon or rehash whatever they're going to talk about on April 5th, which we'll get into. But they're pivoting this towards uh, enterprise now. They've done the consumer version of it last year where they, left a bunch of stuff out that all of us enjoyed, but it was still good enough for consumers to kind of get into and get acquainted with. They've been filling out the corners here and there for all the little things that we wanted. Now they're making a big push for people who will be jumping off of Windows 10 in 2025. So they're bringing all the enterprise features on. I think they're going to talk more about that um, at build, and I believe they probably will break off another version, another session, something digital with panels going into new features for Windows 11 in November.
And that moves us into our second topic, which is Windows 11 and a Windows 11 event on April 5th. Microsoft, we talked about it last week, where Microsoft said they'll be holding an event on April 5th, confirming that Panos Panay and Satya Nadella would be there. And it seems like it's catered for enterprises, but I know Tom Warren at The Verge and Zach Bowden at Windows Central, they put out their pieces on what you could expect. And it seems like some expectations are being set high because rumors indicate that Microsoft could launch some big Windows 11 features at the event. And for as a reminder, the event is on at 8 a.m. Pacific time on April 5th. So it's expected that maybe they might announce a Windows 11 feature where the clipboard gets updated. Tom Warren of The Verge, he said that Windows 11 clipboard could get a little bit smarter. So, like, say if you copy a phone number, you would get suggestions to call it on Teams, or if you copy an email, you would get suggestions to send an email to that person whose email you just copied from. And there's also some expectations that maybe they might announce or maybe roll it out through the Insider program, the tabbed experience with a file explorer that we've always been talking about for the past couple weeks. So something to look out for there as well. And since it's enterprise, obviously you're going to get Microsoft 365 or Windows 365. You're going to get Azure and all of those Microsoft endpoint managers and all those kinds of stuff. But there's might be mention of the One Outlook app that again that we've been talking about for the past few weeks. It's believed that maybe Microsoft might finally announce it at this event come on April 5th.
Yeah, see, the problem with being an insider is that all of the features that they might announce that are big features, we've been playing around with for months. So
Yeah.
when they do announce it, we're going to say, this wasn't that big of a deal. But we have to keep in mind that people are still using the consumer version of this, the retail version of this that came out in November that lacks a lot of features that have been playing with. So again, they may just be reiterating how these features will be solidified and delivered throughout this year. They may not even wait till November to make a big release of it. They may start trickling out some of these things this summer. So we have to keep in mind that that's probably what's going to happen. I think they might tease one outlook like they've done several times before with other uh, demos that we've seen, other CGI renders. I don't think we're actually going to get a chance to play with it anytime soon, but they may have a concept video or something to kind of express that. Because again, I feel like this is going to be geared towards enterprise, trying to lure them in versus any of the cool tablet touch features or something, stuff like that we would like. I do also think that they're going to try and maybe touch upon um, uh, thin clients with the Qualcomm talk and Windows on ARM potentially, because again, that would be big for enterprise to be able to assign laptops that have LTE connections and get your business up and going, especially for people who are doing telecommuting. They have one device that can get them up and online while they're on the train going from home to work or back at home, and maybe they have slow internet connections and they're getting crappy Teams resolution. Now, if you give them a device where they can connect to the company's Wi-Fi, the company's hotspots, stuff like that, that could be big for them. Those are the two things I foresee is one outlook, that potentially Windows on ARM for enterprise coming out of this event.
We'll have to wait and see, but like as I said, expectations are being set high, but don't
They
set it
are, but
too high
yeah,
because
like I said,
it's set it up front that it is catered for enterprise and businesses. And even though Panos is there, maybe he might tease something or say one more thing, but don't set your expectations too high like us Windows fans and the Windows press are doing.
well, if I had to lean people towards one thing, one ridiculous thing that probably won't happen, but I'm kind of putting in my back pocket, is that they introduced the new Surface laptop for business with more ports and maybe a different redesign. And this is more catered again towards business. Maybe it's a little thicker, more battery. Who knows? Because now we have the Surface Laptop Studio, which is the thickest of the devices. If they make the Surface Laptop a tad thicker with more battery and pitch it towards like the ThinkBook competitor, I think they could have something on their hands there.
All right, and speaking of having on your hands, what some Windows 11 insiders and Windows 11 users have on their hands now is Clipchamp. It recently rolled out as an inbox app in the Windows 11 insider builds, and you could download it from the Microsoft Store. And it's a video editor. And as soon as people started trying it out, they're like, "It sucks," because you only were able on the free version, you only were able to export your videos at 480p resolution, which is like where you would need a
Ridiculous.
magnifying glass to see your video if you export it to that. But Microsoft recently made some changes to the service, and now you could export videos at 1080p on all tiers for free at no extra charge. That's basically what all of the changes are, and it's going to be something that I'm going to end up trying out for editing this podcast. So we'll have to see and how it goes. But I know you tried out Clipchamp before, so how did it work out for you?
Yeah, the folks over at Clipchamp gave me a trial subscription to try out. I loved it. Like I said, there is a lot of potential, and this is before Microsoft had bought the company or brought it under its envelope or umbrella. Um, I thought it was really awesome. One, because it's just one of the first cloud-based ones. So again,
Right.
if you are on a Chromebook, which if you're Windows user, you probably shouldn't be, but if you are, you can run this and do some editing, some quick edits, and have it look semi-professional in a matter of 5 to 10 minutes and do really good work. If you're a social media manager, this is catered really towards you. As many of us might want to use Final Cut or Adobe or anything like that. If you are someone who works at a business and needs to pump out Facebook posts, Instagram posts, quick YouTube video tutorials, things like that, it has all of the filters you're going to need for that, all the templates for stuff like that. Like I said, for something like a podcast or long form, it's a little more difficult. I feel like they need to flesh out their uh, templates for those kind of things and their features for that. But if you're looking to just kind of brush up on making your social media posts really look professional and get them out timely, this is the app for you. I think Microsoft is doing a good job with this. When they first rolled it out, we had our complaints saying that, this should be like Office where you at least get 6 months of
Get the
it free.
bonus features, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and you get the full resolution, stuff like that. I'm glad that they've kind of gone and changed that. I don't know if this was in the plan and they just some developer pushed the button quickly and was like, "Oh, put it in the start menu." People will try it, and somebody in marketing was like, "We're not done yet." But whatever the case is, by the time it's officially out for me, you, my mom, my sister, people who are going to be playing with Windows, I feel they have it sorted out, and I think people will enjoy it. And they just really need to do what they did with Groove Music and replace this in the photo app or at least point people to like this is a new feature for you to curate your videos, all those things, all those photos you've taken of your children, things like that you have stored on your computer. You can now do stuff with it, fun stuff with it on Windows versus saying, "Oh, let me give it to my Mac friend and he'll create something nice with it."
Well, we'll see. End up seeing how it's going for me because I usually use Filmora for my
Yeah,
editing, but I'll be switching to the Clipchamp just to see how it goes.
yeah. Filmora has gotten really good as well. I think
Yeah.
you were the one pushing me towards Filmora 11, which I recently downloaded, and I like to run everything side by side. So I'll run Filmora 11. I'll revisit Clipchamp, and I will. I'm also using Adobe Premiere, and we'll see what DaVinci Resolve. If it doesn't crash anymore on my computer, does later.
All right, now it's time for our fast recap. Got a lot of stuff to get through here. So, 10 minutes, let's just get to it right out of the gate and get to the most controversial topic in the fast recap, which is Microsoft backtracking on the default browser settings in Windows 11. I know you wrote a piece about the Mozilla reaction to this, so I'll let you grab that one.
Yeah, this is Microsoft doing what we all figured Microsoft would do. They like to push the Overton window a bit. They'll put out the worst part of their software first and watch everyone go and then they will take steps back. But they will have moved the conversation as far as they want to. The idea is that they want to continue to have people uh, go in and manually or granularly change out the protocols for what the default browser does. I euphemistically think it's for IT admins who like to assign specific apps to open up specific protocols for things. So, they have if your business has an inbuilt PDF reader that is secure that the company likes, doesn't use Adobe, they can go in and assign that without having to remove Edge or Chrome from your system. That's a nice way of putting it. What they're really doing so far is making it complicated for people to get rid of Edge completely. If you are a Chrome user or Firefox user, you could set it as default and it would open most things. About, 6 out of the 10 things that you would need open would open with your default browser. But every now and then, Edge would pop up. You'd be like, I thought I told you Chrome was the thing. Well, again, they've gone back on this and they've gone to a sort of one-click solution, sort of what they had in Windows 10, what they had in Windows 8, and what they had in Windows 7. But there are still several protocols that are still defined as having Edge as your default browser. So again, they move from 6 out of 10 to like 8 out of 10. They're slowly getting where we want them to go, which goes to my next point, which is Mozilla, where they had the comment saying that they appreciate Microsoft's move forward with this sort of their backtrack, but there's more that can be done. And I think it's to my same point that it should just become I chose Chrome, have Chrome open everything for me. I chose Firefox, have Firefox open everything for me. Don't have it open most things.
And that's controversy over browsers, but now we'll move on to controversy over games because it was Tom Warren of The Verge and a bunch of other people. They spotted an Xbox Insider build of Minecraft Preview that had ray tracing enabled in the game. Where ray tracing makes everything looks fancy. You guys know how ray tracing works. We don't need to explain it, but they shortly
What you need to
after.
explain is why is ray tracing in Minecraft? It's not like the graphics are, like cyberpunk or anything.
Well, it makes your game look more realistic. You don't want your Minecraft
It's
blocks to look more
Minecraft.
realistic.
Fair enough.
What? Anyway, it was in the game for a period of time. I think it was like 1 day or so, or 2 days or so. But then, Minecraft came out and put out a tweet and said, "Oh, nope, you weren't supposed to be trying that. It was just a technical error, and it was a mistake, and it was just meant as a prototype, and it was just prototype code." Specifically, the tweet said the previous Minecraft preview build available for Xbox insiders inadvertently included prototype code for ray tracing support on Xbox consoles. This early prototype code has been removed from preview and doesn't signal near future plans to bring ray tracing support to consoles. And even though the game had the ray tracing support for a while, it was a very complicated process to get it. You had to join a server created on PC that has ray tracing enabled, and then you would have to join the server on your Xbox. So clearly, it was something that wasn't meant to be. And some people are saying that this means we might not ever get ray tracing for Minecraft on the Xbox, but I don't think it's out of their plans just yet. They teased it 2 years ago, and I'm sure they're just waiting for when the time is right to announce it.
Yeah, that's the worst part of the news. Not like, stay tuned or coming soon, or it's like, no, we don't ever plan to bring this to you guys. So buzz off. I mean, with that being said, we also have Your Phone, which is a very subtle app nowadays. It seems like Microsoft isn't touting it as much as they used to, but they're rebranding it. Maybe they're preparing for a resurgence in news and features for it. But Your Phone is now being called Phone Link, which I guess makes more sense. It's harder to say open the Your Phone app. It's a mouthful. Open the Phone Link app, much easier. And it does what it says. It links your phone to your PC. So I just switched phones. I went from a Pixel 4 XL to the S22 Plus, and it is amazing the partnership that Samsung and Microsoft have here because being able to open up these apps, even though I do have like most apps open via web pages on here. It's just easier to have them in the exact state that you have them on your phone. You're not having to relog in or re-scroll to the last place you were at on your phone. It's instantaneous. It's really awesome. I hope Microsoft and Samsung continue to do this. I hope that they can bring Google into this mix because it would be awesome for people on Android phones, at least the three big ones, four big ones, I guess, right now. I know LG's out of the game. This should help Microsoft kind of condense their efforts and consolidate around Android in a more concerted effort to bring in Pixel, maybe OnePlus, and Samsung. And say, these are some of the major carriers. Get one of their phones, and you'll have a very Apple-like experience down the road.
That new phone link app is going to get the redesign that Windows 11 insiders have had for a while. Basically, the tabbed interface, the new area for your notifications, and even the QR code during the Windows 11 out of box experience, where you're able to scan the code and then set up your link. See, I'm saying your phone, but it's called phone link. Set up phone link right out of the box out of Windows 11. So that's some of the things that are coming to the rebranded app. And there's also our next topic is a rumor about Xbox Game Pass family plan. Now, if you live in a family, you know that it could be expensive when you have multiple consoles to buy multiple subscriptions and keep track of all your different, say your son has an Xbox, your daughter has an Xbox, you have an Xbox. So that's three different Xboxes and three different subscriptions they need to buy. But Microsoft, according to Windows Central, and Jess Corden, Microsoft could finally be working on an Xbox Game Pass family plan where you'll be able to share one Xbox Game Pass subscription across multiple Xbox consoles and multiple different accounts. The details right now are very scarce naturally, just based off of a rumor, but he's assuming that it's going to be a higher tier plan that you're going to pay for. And it's not clear if it's for Game Pass on PC as well, but at least we know that Microsoft is considering taking the Microsoft 365 route where they have Microsoft 365 family plans where you could buy one subscription and share it on multiple devices.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a no-brainer at this point. You have two or three kids. They all want to play different games. They all want to have their own profiles at one point. You may not even have, I've come from an immigrant family, so we don't have multiple consoles. We just choose
Yeah.
that way. But you may have multiple profiles. I may want to play the Division, and my brothers and sisters may want to play, I don't know, Minecraft. And when I hop on my system, I don't want their stuff on there. And this is how you can help differentiate that and make some money in the process.
And the next topic in Fast Recap is a big Microsoft reorg that involves Android and Windows. Microsoft is moving some of its Android teams and products under a new org that's under the leadership of Panos Panay. The news was announced in a memo to employees earlier this week from Panos Panay himself, and there's no layoffs in the reorg, but what's happening is that the Surface Duo OS, the SwiftKey, PhoneLink, and Microsoft Launchers teams are now under one new team called Android, Microsoft Platform, and Experiences. And according to Zach, this new team is all about making Android and Windows come closer together and bringing first-party Android experiences to Windows itself. And we already saw that. We just talked about Phone Link and the rebrand of your phone to Phone Link. And to me, it seems like this is one of the first steps in the process of trying to merge Android and Windows even closer together and bringing some more Android experiences over to Windows. And something that they've been working on for a while. I mean, the Windows subsystem for Android came out of nowhere.
Yeah, no, this is like you said, it might be a no-brainer to us, but they had these desperate like pieces of Android that weren't together. I didn't know this until this piece came out, that
Right.
the SwiftKey team was different from the Microsoft Launcher team. They're both integrated on the Duo. How could they not be talking together to optimize and squeeze the most out of both divisions? So putting them all together, there's some other Android pieces I'm drawing a blank for that are all now going to be at least under one roof to kind of make sure that, hey, when it gets into split mode on like the Duo, you get all the functionality of a split key. You get maybe pin support and stuff like that in it. Maybe you get um, uh, the launcher gets better tactile stuff. I mean, it's just interesting to have these conversations day in and day out with these teams if they suggest stuff to each other, like what about this and what about that? They can start to build them out versus having their directives and just following those and then hoping that somebody at the very top puts it all together in the places it needs to be. That's a lot of pressure for one individual. I think this is best to have. This is the best kind of reorg. I always appreciate the ones that people keep their jobs because people need their jobs. So getting more people to work is great.
And that's it. I think we got through all of our topics in 10 minutes.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, I felt like we were pushing the button on that one. That one, there was a lot in there. We talked a lot about it.
uh,
Well, on our week ahead, we have, uh, we're looking forward to what's going to be happening on the 5th of this month, or yeah, April of this month. We would hope if you guys have any predictions, let us know in the comments. If you guys have any suggestions on what you think might happen, we'd love to kind of go over it and maybe we can make some think pieces about it right before the
Oh,
event.
we did have a poll that I completely forgot to mention, and in the in the poll we asked you the Windows Future of Hybrid Work event is next
Yeah.
week, April 5th. What will Microsoft show off? We asked you, well, let us know what you think, and we'll talk about it in the podcast. So our options were Tabs and File Explorer, the One Outlook app, new features for Edge, or something unexpected. We had 54 total votes, and the number one answer was the One Outlook app with 44% of the vote. And then the number two answer was something unexpected. Number three was Tabs and File Explorer. And the last choice was new features for Edge.
You guys have no faith in Edge. How dare you? Well, hopefully, we'll be getting some reactions from Arif about Halo. I watched it earlier today, uh, and I know there was controversy about Master Chief taking his helmet off. It was all over the internet. I think the way they did it, and for the context of the story, it makes total sense. I know they kind of maybe people were hoping to play it as more of a Mandalorian thing, where the helmet always stays on. You don't know who he is. But even in that show, you see the helmet come off. So it makes sense. I think the show's done well. They have a lot of pieces that they can play with to kind of build out the universe. I would, wait to hear your thoughts. I know you don't play the game very often, so a lot of the lore is probably going to go over you. But as a show about dystopian military outfits and things like that, I want to see what your thoughts are, or at least just how the show is flowing in general.
All right, right after this podcast, I'm going to go watch it.
It's on YouTube for free. That's what we're
Yeah,
getting to. So if
yeah,
you
yeah.
haven't seen it yet, and you guys are weary of getting a Paramount Plus subscription like I am, go watch it on YouTube for free. The first episode.
And there's also we talked about Halo, and Halo is Xbox, but the ESA confirmed that there won't be no E3 2022 in-person event.
Yeah, I think what does that stand for? Electronic Software Alliance, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
Confirmed that E3 is canceled both in person and digital. I know that they've been vacillating between whether or not they're going to do an in person one or a small in person one, paired up with some digital showcase, something like that. They canceled it all together, saying that they will come back in 2023 stronger and ready to celebrate gaming. I don't think they're going to come back in 2023. To be honest with you, I
uh,
think this may be the end of these type of events. I think the first cut was Nintendo kind of dropping out about 5, 6 years ago from this event and kind of hosting their own thing. Then Sony followed suit 2 years in a row. Microsoft followed them about a year and a half later into the pandemic when they hosted like 3 events over the course of a year, like 3 gaming events, all digital. It just makes more sense to help them control the narrative. It's you don't have people running these thought pieces about when they were at certain showcases, discussing things that they shouldn't have been talking about. You don't have to hold NDAs. You don't have to hold booths that cost you millions of dollars and are somewhat controversial. I think Xbox had one with some like dancers and stories out of that booth. Phil Spencer had to like come on, make an apology and say, we're not this type of company. So you put all that to the side and you talk just about the games, just about the developers. You can focus on things that you want to focus on and do it within, an hour and a half span, maybe two. By the time production's all done, it takes you maybe a day or so and you're out. These large events like E3, I don't see them coming back the way that they think they will.
And then the last thing we want to talk about is Killed by Microsoft, a website that lists all of the dead Microsoft products.
Talking about dead things, yeah, this was. I was asking you this off mic earlier. Was this a tongue-in-cheek thing done by Microsoft, which I thought would be kind of cool to kind of honor the projects and teams that are no longer at the company? But no, you're saying this is done by a third party?
Yeah, it's done by someone who just developed websites where they list dead products in the major tech companies. There's also Killed by Google as well. And Google has far more dead products, by the way. But Microsoft's website is Killed by Microsoft.info. This is where you could go to check it out if you want to. And it lists, I think it's about 190 or so products. And there's the usual products: Skype for Business, Silverlight, Mixer, Windows Phone, Microsoft Band, Microsoft Reader, Groove Music. They're all there, and you just click the link and it takes you to Wikipedia where you could read the Wikipedia entry and then cry and be like, I can't believe that they killed this product. It was so awesome.
Yeah, it's a cute little thing. They all have little tombstones, and there's some in here that I'm looking at where I'm like, oh, these strike hard, like Microsoft Live or the Kin or Zoom software in general, Zoom players. Oh my God, there's so many ones that I was like, oh, I really thought these were gonna go somewhere. Windows 10 IoT, like, oh, geez. Remember when that was a thing, and we used to have to hear about it at every build?
Oh yeah. Every build you would get Windows 10 IoT builds.
Yeah, Microsoft Bob's on here, Liquid Motion. Oh man, this such a sad thing to see. I mean, like I said, the visuals are kind of cute. It's also informative as well. So for those of you who are new to Microsoft, this is actually one of the quickest ways to get to know the companies by seeing what they've killed and what technologies from these dead projects have moved on to other parts of the company now.
And that's it. I think we hit all of our main topics and everything in Fast Recap and everything in Week Ahead, which means it's time for the traditional outro.
Yeah, you could find me at Mindhead1 on Twitter and everywhere else. Where can people find you?
A back journ.
Where you won't find us is in the Microsoft graveyard because we're still alive talking on Microsoft stuff. If you want any of our thought pieces, if you want any of our editorials, or just features or just news written by either one of us or our talented writing staff, you can go to onmicrosoft.com or you can go to on Microsoft on Twitter. You can get some of the short snippets, keep up to date with any giveaways, contests, or anything else that's happening quickly in the world of Microsoft news. You can also go to Pinterest if you are a gamer and you want to get some information specifically about that. You can also visit our Instagram for just stuff about the podcast in general. Other than that, you can also just find us on podcast catchers such as I think Spotify, Apple Music, Google. I was gonna say Groove, Google Podcasts, things like that. So yeah, we would love to hear from you guys. We appreciate you coming back every week and tolerating us. Thank you very much.
All right, everyone. See you again soon. Same place, same time.
Stay safe out there.
Bye.